Welcome to Difficult Conversation Africa broadcast. I present to you the host, Yinka Olaito.
Divorce is not just a declaration of independence, but it is attended with emotional baggage. Some have also said that divorce is not the end of a marriage, but it's the burial of it. While some say that divorce shouldn't be a tragedy, staying in a marriage should be. So it all depends on the way we see it. But whatever way we look at divorce, it has a lot of cost implication either on the children, on the partners, going through the process and all of that. So today in this conversation, we are looking at divorce and its cost implication, emotional cost, financial cost, and the cost upon the family at the end of the day. Because when two people come together and they say, I love you, when it comes, before they get to the level of divorce, a lot of things will have gone, a lot of issues will have gone under the water. So we're looking at these today at divorce and its cost implication on society, on individual. For some people, the emotional baggage rob them of the capacity to actually deliver on their productivity. So today, I have a lawyer with me. He is already here with us before, but today again, he's here to come and help us to understand the cost implication, the processes, and all of that. Welcome to Difficult Conversation Africa podcast. My name is Yinka Olaito, and I'm here with me, Barrister Suleiman Ehizoge.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming and thank you for the insight that you shared. Like I've said, we're looking at the first this time around. Statistics are shown that 1.8, like 11 in 1,000, that our rate is not that high. But on divorce.com, they said we are on number 11 of the country on divorce.com. These are some of the statistics. But they keep saying that we should not be worried in Nigeria because as of now, it is like 1 or 11 in 1,000 that is going through divorce. But we don't have data. So all those international data may not function. Because I remember there was a time that I was speaking with you before we came here that you said that there was a time you went to court and 8 cases were really divorced. So maybe it's because of lack of data. That is why we think that divorce is not something that is rampant in Nigeria. But let's just look at it. For you as a lawyer, what will you say about divorce rate in Nigeria?
Well, thank you again for having me. The fact still remains that the divorce rate of Nigeria is quite high.
Really?
Yes, it's quite high because, our court systems are divided into, you have a family court,
Yeah.
which normally deals basically with family matters, custody matters, and a lot of other matters like that, both at the magistrate court and at the high court. And at the high court, but most of the cases in family courts at the high court basically are divorce matters.
Wow.
Now, because of the strain on these judges, some of these matters are all now moved to courts that are not even family courts. You can see normal civil courts handled by other judges also handling divorce matters, because you can go to the docket. Let me give an example. Let's look at the Court of Justice Oguntade of the Lagos State High Court. Is a family court. You go to her court, and sometimes you need to just have to pity
the pressure
on her, because it takes a lot from her. And you see that most of these matters, especially when they have children involved in this matter, she takes the extra pain to ensure that those children are protected. And these are all divorce. So the statistics saying that our divorce matters is very wrong. It's
maybe
just like
because there's delay and divorce cases are not quickly settled.
No, divorce cases are sui generis. They are not really like normal litigation cases in the right sense of the word, but they are handled, and they are handled well, because especially when they are children, the judges cannot just rush into divorcing those marriages, because the children needs to, especially when those children are underage, the children needs to be taken care of
and protected.
Exactly, the welfare, maintenance, education, And all these things will be the high point for the judge to look at with respect to the children. He won't just divorce the parties because the parties don't want to be together. Fine, they don't want to be together for whatever reasons that might be between the two of you. But the children are not supposed to be blamed for this issue. So the children must be taken care of. So sometimes the judges take their time to ensure that the children are well protected and taken care of. That's why you might think that there might be delays in these proceedings. It's because they want to ensure that what we call a compulsory conference, when parties file and their children, the court will order what is known as a compulsory conference. That compulsory conference is a conference where the counsels of both parties meet with the parties and sit down and itemize issues of welfare, education. How much are you going to pay every month for these children? The education, which school, how much will you be paying? The medical bills, how are you going to take care of these children medically? And every other thing to ensure these children are given the best, the best of the best, to ensure that they don't fall into depression or start having problems in the society like we see.
But it means that do they actually look at emotional side baggage that the children carry?
Yes, that is why most of the time when there are children involved, they don't sit in open court. They sit in chambers. Especially also when the children have been part of marriages that have been toxic. What the judges does sometimes is to take the children inside and ask the children questions pertaining to what has transpired between the parents. They don't do it in open court. They take the children away. And when there are children like that, most of the time the judges tell them to take the children into the chambers and they interview the children there. They don't do it in open court for everybody to see because of the emotional nature. They have to take that into consideration because especially when the children are really young and maybe when they are not teenagers yet. But once the child is of 18, then it is not really an issue for the court anymore. But from 18
and above,
18 downwards, the court has jurisdiction to has to be very careful. But once the child is an adult, there's no issue there again.
But that they are an adult doesn't mean that they do not.
Yes, they will still have to take care of them.
It's still better. It's better than when they are just
children, they are toddlers, children, they are teenagers, and the rest of that. Once they are adults, yes, they will still have to take care of them if they have to take care of them. But you have divorces where parents are already grandparents. So the children do not even...
Really? Yes. Okay, that's true.
I'm actually engaged in a divorce right now where the parties are already grandparents. Yes.
Wow.
And they've been separated for 17 years.
Okay, they just want to
formalize their divorce because they're ready to move on with their life.
There are several reasons for recognized under the law. There is irreconcilable, a fourth base, where they say there's cheating, there's all of these, and then there's irreconcilable differences. And these are issues that are contested. In such cases, in fourth base, what do lawyers have to do or the judges have to do? In irreconcilable differences, what are the factors that are very important?
You see now, under the Matrimonial Causes Act, that is basically the law that governs the issues of divorce. And you go specifically section 15, subsection 2A to H. If you look at that particular section of the Matrimonial Causes Act, it gives you various grounds in which parties can come for divorces. It's not just under irreconcilable circumstances. There are also other grounds. Maybe the parties have been separated for a period of over 2 years. The parties have been separated for a period of over 3 years. That's section 2E and F. The parties has committed adultery. So many issues, they are there stated in that from A to H. Those are the grounds that you need to prove to the judge, for the judge to be able to understand that truly, yes, these are issues. It's not the fact that you say that, what is the issue? You have to prove to the court that these parties cannot live together anymore. There's violence, there's issues
But emotional violence is also one of the things that people talk about, and that may not be feasible.
Emotional violence is something that you cannot really prove. You have to come and explain to the court how you were emotionally violated. It's the truth. You cannot just come and say emotional violence. Everybody, the man too, can be emotionally violated. So that is why it's not only women that file divorces. That is a mistake a lot of people make. A lot of men do file divorces. If you go to court, you will see some of the suit numbers. You will see WD. When you see WD, that means woman's divorce. You see HD, that means man husband divorce. That's how it is filed. So it is the man, sometimes the man is the petitioner. A lot of men suffer a lot of emotional issues. But people believe that because we are men or men are men, you don't suffer these things. A lot of men suffer emotional trauma. There are men that can't take a lot of things. And divorce comes as a way of so many factors. It's so many things. The man might have been financially buoyant at one point in time.
And then things went
all of
bad.
the things. People are not patient. Things go bad. The wife is now on top. Issues start going bad. So many different things. We have seen divorces where the man has been, trained the woman. The woman has become so much now, and now she's better than the man. There are also instances where the man is violent, constantly beats. Is always beating the woman. You don't expect any reasonable human being to stay in that kind of marriage. Even me as a.
But there's what they call verbal abuse.
There's also verbal abuse. Yes, this is verbal abuse. It's the same thing. Verbal abuse, mental torture. And so everything falls, everything accumulates. If you have been verbally abused does not mean you are verbally abused today. It must have started.
It's a process.
It's a process. It's something that you must have seen. And I always ask people, and I always ask my clients when they come and ask them that I want to get separated, I want to file a divorce. And you start telling me, and I read your story, and you write for me, and I hear your story, and I ask you, but this handwriting was there from the very beginning. Why did you marry? It was there because from what you have told me, these issues you are talking about didn't start today.
Didn't start today.
These issues were existing even before the marriage, during courtship. It was there. You could see it. But why did you get married? Some will tell you that I just wanted to leave the house. I just needed a form of security. I wasn't happy with my parents. So many funny. And now you are in a toxic relationship. Now you in 2 years, 3 years down the line, you're saying you're no more interested. You're no more interested. How? So it's one of the facts I look at before I even take divorce matters, because I know that I look at the fact of, has there been any form of violence?
Okay.
If there's been violence in the marriage, then I look at the fact that it's practically better to separate these people, for them to be, and they have kids. So it's better for you to have a living mother or a living father than for you to have none.
Okay.
Because you see cases of when the wife is violent, he kills the man. Okay. The man is violent, kills the woman. The man starts facing criminal charges. The woman is facing criminal charges. What happens to the children? The children get sucked into the society. The parents or the in-laws or the cousins or the family itself generally are unable to take care of these children. And whatever case it may be, maybe it is the man that has killed the woman or the woman has killed the man. The parents of those people, if they are alive, they'll take it out one way on the children.
That's true.
They will not give those children the kind of love they need.
Meanwhile, it was not the child.
It's not the child fault, but like it's not your mother that killed my son. Okay. It's not your father that killed my daughter. One way or the other, people are emotional that way. So there's a lot of things you need to consider, really, and the matrimonial courses that spells it out. All the grounds. One of the grounds you need to prove to be able to get your divorce cleared by the High Court.
So what is the process of going through filing a case? What does divorce procedure look like? Now, the process of filing for divorce look like? Okay. And all the implications.
You see, now, when you want to file a divorce proceeding, you file what is known as a petition. It's a petition that you file in court. It's called a petition. Now, when you file that petition, you become, if you are the one filing, you become the petitioner.
Okay.
Then the other party is what is called the respondent.
Okay.
You file that at the High Court. Any High Court. The matrimonial court says that any divorce proceeding can be filed in any High Court of the Federation. That means even if you are married in Lagos, you can take it to Zamfara High Court and file.
As long as it's High Court.
It's High Court. You can't file at the Federal High Court. So even you can go to Umuoha, Ugweli,
even anywhere. Though you did not get married
in that state. Insofar as you are married under the Act, you can file in any High Court of the Federation. When you file that, the processes itself is served on the other party, who might be the respondent.
Okay.
When it's served on the respondent, you now wait for a period of like 28 to 30 days. After 28 to 30 days, yes, 28 to 30 days, if the other party does not file what is known as a response or a cross petition or any other counter, a cross petition is known also as a counter claim in the normal case. So you can file, the person will file and file what is known as, I also have a claim against you in as far as a cross petition. You now have to file an answer and thereabout to that. Once that is filed at the High Court, when the matter is ripe for hearing, you file what is known as an application to set down the matter for trial.
For trial.
Within the rules of the act. When you file that, now, if the matter comes before the court is going to ask you, yes, this matter is ripe for trial. Now, are there children in this marriage?
Yes.
If you say there are children in the marriage, the court will ask you to go and carry out what is known as a compulsory conference, like what I explained earlier, where the counsels and parties on both sides will meet and clear vital issues with respect to care, upkeep, and everything of the children. When that is done and everything, you file what is known as a report. You file the report of compulsory conference.
The lawyer does that?
Yes, the lawyer does that. You file it and you serve the court. That particular report becomes part of the judgment the court will give in the long run, because at that point in time, you have agreed that, okay, every month I have 2 children, I'll be giving you 100,000 for the 2 children.
On my income.
Based on my income. Every month, I will also have access to these children, like holidays, school holidays, Christmas holidays. I will pay for their medical care. I will do this. I will take care of that. Once parties can agree on that.
What if they don't agree?
Then you leave it to the court's discretion. If parties don't agree at that compulsory conference, because the parties might say that I cannot do more than 30,000 naira. And the other party, the petitioner, say, no, you have more than you have to do more than that. If parties cannot agree on that issues, then you leave it to the discretion of the court. The court, in deciding that, will take into factors, economic factors, what school fees is, what is it to feed the child.
Man, let's say the man underdeclare his income?
Well, it's still the court, even looking at that, even with the fact that you have filed the compulsory report and you have agreed on certain things, the court will still look at that report you have filed. Even when you have agreed, the court can look at it and say, 50,000 naira for a child in this period might not be enough. And the court can still look at, 50,000 is quite high. Can you cope with it? You know, those kind of things.
Exactly.
Trying to ensure that the court is
just having a
exactly. It's trying to balance it out to ensure that the children get the best. Because right now, the court is not thinking about them, it's thinking about the welfare of the children. Because the children are what that matters, because the court is bound by that rule, especially under the Child Rights Act, to ensure that the child are well taken care of in every divorce proceeding. So the court will try to balance it and say, oh, this your 50,000 might be too small because of economic situation of things. Buying milk, buying this, right now is high. This 50,000, so I might order 60,000 naira every month for the child. 2 of them, 120. You have a medical plan for the children. You have a general hospital. You have what you will be paying for the healthcare of the children. They will agree on all that. So all these are put forward before the court. The court looks at it, weighs it with the case, and adds it to the judgment of the court.
Does court also take into consideration if a party said, you have wasted my time, you have wasted my years, you have emotionally brutalized me, and I need payment for that? Does court always take charge?
What payment do you need?
No. There are people can ask that.
So, yes, I've seen courts that they tell you, the problem with our system is that, or our society is that you are getting too emotionally involved with what is happening outside the country. Maybe
exactly,
you look at the American system, that is them. It doesn't work like that. But
why is it not the same?
It doesn't work. No, it doesn't work like that. Yeah, our systems are quite different. Sorry, it doesn't work like that. The position there is quite different from the position here. The way their laws are structured there is different from the ways our laws are structured.
So you can't just claim. You can't just claim.
How do you prove it? You are saying you have brutalized me emotionally, but me that have been staying with you, what do you think I've been suffering for that period of time? If you are claiming emotional brutalization, what should I be claiming? Emotional what?
So the court does not recognize.
No, the court does not look at that, and the court looks at the fact before them, and what you have laid before the court is what the court will look at. The court does not have time to start looking at issues of alimony and the rest of that. If you are claiming that, he built that house with me, I started the building. When he was building, I gave him 50,000, I gave him 100,000, I gave him a total of 1 million or 2 million, 3 million. That's a different thing. You have suffered
that I stay with you while we are suffering. God does not recognize that.
I stay with you while we are suffering. Am I not still suffering? Have as things change?
No, maybe that the lady did not contribute much to the building of the house, but say I stay with you emotionally and you build that house, I should share.
No, you cannot. That is not the way.
Not because it happened abroad.
That is abroad. That is what I'm saying. Like you see them asking for alimony there. It doesn't apply here. It doesn't apply.
So a man does not have a right under our law to ask for anything.
Even the woman, it's not even the woman. The both of them. What you can say, what you can do. There's a lot of changes right now going on in that area of law. That's the truth. Things are coming up these days. The law is developing, is evolving. Like I said, the Matrimonial Causes Act is what is called sui generis. It's like our election petition laws. It's sui generis. It's developing. So things can change with time. There have been decisions where the court will say that property, half of it should go. It has happened in Nigeria because the woman was able to prove that she also paid for the development. She added money to that
she
particular...
did not pay anything?
You understand?
When there's no written...
When there's no, but she can prove that she gave money. If she can prove...
I'm saying that you did not give money, but at least you are part of this thing.
Emotionally.
And then when I supervise.
Do you build houses emotionally? No, you guys should tell me. I'm trying to understand that aspect now because this is a new area that you guys are bringing up. You don't build houses emotionally. You build houses with block and cement.
But what if she supervises and did not collect money? There are unpaid services that she might have done.
There's nothing. What is unpaid services? Why were you not living in the house before you decided to file for divorce that you want to live? The only time you can claim, I believe that you can have claim is the fact that you have contributed financially to the development of that house. You have given me 10 million naira.
I supervise.
No, what is supervised? What about the man that has been paying your welfare, has been taking care of you for the years in which you have been married? He has been giving money for you to make your hair. He has been giving you money for you to feed. He has been buying clothes for you all this period of time.
A lot only focuses on the tangible things.
That is the fact, is that what is before me? What have you done? What did you do? I gave him. Like we are presently, you have to show that the fact that I contributed to the development of that property, not emotionally, not financially.
What if that's how you can labor or supervising?
No, that is not part of it.
No, unpaid labor or supervising.
Marriage is labor for both parties when you look at it critically. Marriage itself between parties, yes, it's between parties. It's between people who have come together to become one. To sacrifice.
That our law is not fair because
that is why it is developing very day. Maybe with time, some people will argue it. They will get to that point of arguing.
Because it can be an unpaid labor.
No, there's nothing like unpaid labor.
I was supposed to go and supervision.
Calculate your unpaid labor. What is that? What does it equate to? No, you are saying unpaid labor.
Yeah, it can be because if I supervise and I was supposed to be paid, so our law does not presently recognize anything that
was supposed to be paid? Why you? If you were supposed to be paid, why didn't you get paid?
I was giving that as a sacrifice to the family.
That is a sacrifice. You have just said it is a sacrifice. You have just said it is a sacrifice. It's different from when you said, I gave him 2 million naira for block. I gave him 2 million naira for cement. That's a different thing. There's proof. You are saying it and he will not be able to deny it. At that point in time, you can lay claim. You can bring an action to this house, half of it belongs to me.
What if you give him cash and it was not recorded?
It doesn't matter, but you can bring it out. You have an account. There's somewhere you took the money from. These evidences can be put. You see divorce matters. When divorce matters are contentious, like you have to know, it's very contentious. There are divorce matters that will shake the courtroom when parties come out and start giving evidence. There are sometimes the judges will say, don't say anything, especially when there are issues of adultery. Okay. In divorce matters, it's very contentious. There are times you see parties coming out with evidence, catching them, and they're trying to. Sometimes the court, just for sanity, the court will say, "No, it's okay. Don't go into it." Already, the court knows where you're going to.
Okay.
There are issues where I've seen when a woman says that her husband holding on to a 3 years old baby gives him an erection. She has said it in open court for divorce cases.
Okay.
So you can imagine, when there are divorce cases that are contentious, they are contentious. There are serious divorce cases but there are some that are not contentious. The man might even say, I give her the property.
Okay, just go with
it. Go with it. The man will say, go. I
just want
because
my
you have my children and you are going to be responsible for the children because the children are underage, the children are female, I might not have time to take care of them. I give you the property. But there are also the divorce matters where I've seen a woman said, I cannot take care of the children. I leave them for my husband. Have you not seen those ones before?
That's true.
Many. That the woman will say, I don't want the children. Take. So many cases in court.
What are the major contentious issues that must be resolved before a divorce is granted?
Like I said, the most important thing is the welfare of the children. Once they are children.
There's no children.
When there are no children, there's nothing to.
How can you say there's nothing?
No, what I mean that there's nothing is that.
No, I'm just saying what is our law says.
Our law, like
so
I
that
said,
we can begin to raise questions about this.
Like I said, I have said that the Matrimonial Causes Act, Section 15, subsection 2A to H, gives you enough grounds where you will see reasons why you can divorce and the reasons you need to prove to the court for the court to grant you a divorce. Now, once a marriage is not really contested, not contested is the fact that maybe there are no children of the marriage, that one is going to be very fast. Because there won't be any need for a compulsory. There won't be any need for a compulsory conference. It's just like, we can't live again. We have lived apart for 2 years.
But if money is involved in building and all those things,
yes, you lay the claim. Those are contested issues, like we have just argued. You lay it before the court. Produce your facts that I assisted in building this house. I committed financially in building this house. And based on that, I'm entitled to either half of the house or 50% of the house. I've seen claims where the woman, the respondent is asking, my lord, this house, we bought it together. We did this together. Please order that will be sold and we share.
There's one that we discussed the other time before we came on here, where you say that they were living apart for some years. And when the man died, because they were legally married, the woman surfaced and said,
and that is the famous case of Okotebo.
Yeah,
it's the famous case of
that
Okotebo.
Allowed under that?
Yes, that is why when you are married legally, once you divorce, you have to divorce legally. Or that woman still remains your legally married wife.
Or yes. that man too?
Yes, she still remains your legally married wife. So if he dies, the woman comes up, she's your legally married wife because you have not divorced her.
No, we're having an argument about what if the woman or the man that died already had a will. So if you show up as the man, what are you going to do?
If you already have a will,
yeah,
your will specify what you want in your will. That is the will.
So what if you are clear all the way? So when the man comes and says,
because you are legally married to that man. He cannot say you are depriving that one because of your will. The court will look at the fact that you are still married to this woman. It's possible that even in his will, he still has written something for that woman. Yes, it happens.
What he could have written.
And the woman is still a legally married wife.
So the woman can contest it.
Yes, she can contest it. She will contest it. Not
that they are living apart does not mean anything.
I'm presently handling a case right now, which before the High Court, and the court recently gave a ruling in my favor because I said that the people that filed the matter in court, they had no jurisdiction and right or locus to file that particular matter in court in Lagos State here. And the court agreed with me because number one, the only legally surviving wife is the only legal wife of the man that the man married. Every other woman was not married. And the children of those women went and connived and got a document to say that it's not possible. The law is clear. Section 46 of the Probate Act of Lagos State. It's clear. It shows you 64. It shows you who and who will be entitled to. And the vice said the last or only surviving spore. It is there. So without that woman, you cannot, when she's alive. How will you cut her off from her husband's inheritance? You can't cut her off.
So if you have a wife or you have a husband and you were separated and you begin to bring in another person, and when the person, let's say the man now died, and then the will does not include the...
That woman can contest because she's the only legal wife. She's not been divorced. She's the only legal wife. She's not been divorced. She's the only legal wife that is subsisting by law. That is why that is why they tell you
that's what the law says.
Yes, because that's what they tell you, that when you marry traditionally, you marry traditionally. You marry Islamically, you marry Islamically. But once you are married under the act, that is, you go to the registry, whether Ikoyi or any of our local government marriage registries embedded in our local government. Once you are married there, and you people decide to separate or live apart or whatever, you must divorce that marriage legally, or else that woman remains your wife by law.
Really?
Yes, she remains your wife.
And that man also remains
Remains your husband.
And then is entitled
to whatever. You cannot
so whether you write a will and does not, you can contest
it because he or she is the legally
but
married. But
contesting does not mean he will win.
He might not win, yes, but he will contest it. He has a right to contest it because she's still married to the man. And she can say she's entitled to some things because she built, if the man is a very extremely weird man, and by the time they were married, the man had a lot of properties, built a lot of things, had a lot of properties, and they were married before they had their problems, and the man did not divorce. Was she not there when he was acquiring all those properties, or when she was acquiring all those properties? It's not part of the fact that she worked with him to acquire that. She might even have contributed financially, which most of the time is financially, because it's financial the court will look at, that she contributed financially to get the man where he is. So why won't she be entitled to something? So that's where it is.
But the issue now is when we look at issue of divorce around development and the cost implication, emotional and what have you seen cases where these effects for longer on either of the party after the divorce and their productivity decline?
The fact still remains that, when a court gives a judgment, a court initially will give a judgment.
Divorce does not look at anything.
Yes, the divorce is divorce. The court will give you a judgment. It's called a decree nisi. After 3 months, you are entitled. The court will now issue what is called a decree absolute, which now finalizes that divorce. Now, within the period of 3 months, it's like a window for you or for parties to make. Whether you want to settle, you want to amend something, you can do that. You can come by this thing to the court within that period to check or amend or change one or two things. Because once the divorce is final, it's final. Whatever happens to you is your life. You have the one that said you don't want to. You're tired.
The last question I have, which you already almost there, can court ruling on divorce be modified after judgment?
That is what I've just said. The first judgment that is given, when the court gives that judgment and say, I hereby dissolve, I hereby order a decree nisi. That decree nisi is to be enforced for a period of 3 months, where after 3 months, the court will now issue what is called a decree absolute, making that's the final. Now, within that period, it gives you an opportunity.
No, what if it's after the
No, there's
final?
nothing that can happen.
So at the final judgment,
that's the final is divorce. Except two people fall in love again and remarry.
So they need to remarry.
You have to remarry again now because that divorce is it's gone.
So what if they come back together after the divorce and they start living together? The court does not recognize that.
It's not like we always say, maybe they are catching cruise. Like I always tell,
so under the law, they are just catching cruise.
Like I always tell my I have a client that we're handling his case, and the woman is also like she's a lawyer, and she's always like trying to I still love you, and I keep telling my friend jokingly, because the guy is my friend, I tell him jokingly, I say, maybe you just be catching cruise with her after the
otherwise you go and remarry again.
You go and remarry you guys if you still fall in love with her. So the
moment the law court is dissolve a marriage, whatever you are doing is no longer married.
It's not married. Once the court has dissolved, giving you that decree,
so it means that if either of the spouse die tomorrow, they are not considered. Nobody can contest anything.
Nobody can contest anything. They are not married. They were divorced. They were separated by law. The marriage has been annulled. Yeah, so it's nothing
that the law recognizes.
There's nothing that happen except you guys come back together and go back and fall in love. And maybe you can.
And now you go. But you have to go to court.
You have to go to court again. But sometimes, most people now they don't. Most of our clients that we have actually perfected their divorces. Some of them have partners now, but they are not legally married. What they do is the dowry, the traditional marriage. A lot of them don't want to go through that process again because they feel like one beating twice shy. I don't want to. If the thing does happen, just return the dowry and walk away.
So it means that but there are people who compound both traditional marriage and the legal marriage.
No, it's not combined. They are two separate entities.
So if you marry traditionally and you go to court again or do the legal thing,
yes.
When it comes to divorce case, you have to.
It is only the legal one that really matters. The traditional one is just the return of the dowry.
Alone.
That's what basically matters most times, and maybe sometimes return of some of the things they give. Like in the East, what I heard is that they will return almost everything that they gave. But from my own end, where I'm from, basically you return the dowry and that's the end of the marriage.
So
When I got married, I was a Christian. I married my wife a Muslim. So we did the traditional. We went to the federal registry, and I did nikah because my
Okay.
wife's family said they wanted nikah, and I said no problem. What I wanted was my wife.
okay, so you
So
did
I did
nikah.
nikah.
So,
I
but
did
the
the
nikah
everything.
is he legally? Is he a
It's
legal?
an Islamic marriage to them. It matters to them. It didn't matter to me. What I was is that I'd done the legal thing,
The
which was a
legal thing.
legal marriage, which holds myself and my wife. The nikah is them
Well,
that
so
it
the
holds.
nikah cannot hold you.
They cannot hold what's my own with it. I only wanted to satisfy them. I only wanted
I
to
think
satisfy
we'll have this conversation again and talk about the emotional, the thing. And I think that our law need to be considered, because there are emotional issues that people will claim damages for in abroad that I'm seeing that our Nigerian law is not taking. Some
That is-
even say for sleeping with me for years.
That is, but you are sleeping with each other for years now. So who is going to claim it? That is why our law most of the time is a lot better than what you have in these countries, because our law is more dynamic. It's straight. It's strict. It makes a lot of sense
than
what they have there. Now a man marries a woman, he's divorcing the woman. The woman is taking half of his property for what now? Why?
They work together. Huh?
How?
Well,
Even from what I gather, Donald Trump is trying to stop that law practice now in America.
What they are
He's trying
doing
to
now
stop
is,
it.
as it were, that is, as you marry me, anything that I have before you get married.
So it doesn't make sense. That is why a lot of people now, the children, people are running away from marriages now in Nigeria. Don't you see that there are people? A lot of people are single. They don't want to get married. A lot of people just have crews, get a baby mama. They don't want to get married, and we're losing a lot of morals, patience, perseverance. It's gone. Patience, perseverance. There's no marriage that is not rocky. Like I always tell my client, no marriage is not rocky. I've been married for 17 years. If I tell you it's not been rocky, it's a lie. But myself and my wife have created the understanding to understand, persevere, and push forward. You have to do. Yeah, so it happens. So there's no marriage, but people just need to be able to manage situations. So I think that is where
I think that we'll have to look at this again on the other side of it, from a woman point of view. And the people from Western culture with all what they used to claim. Yes. But at the same time, I think this conversation is really exciting. Barrister Ehizoge, we want to say thank you once again.
Thank you for having me.
For our viewers again, thank you. I'm sure that we've raised a lot of issues here that you might feel something you want to talk about, and you think that you need counsel from him as a lawyer. Please send us a DM. Or you can directly reach us at info@difficultconversationafrica.org. Thank you for this session, and thank you for always being there. See you in the next edition.
Thank you for listening to this episode. For inquiry, please send an email to info@difficultconversationafrica.org. Telephone 0809 3160591. Please follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Difficult Conversation Africa. See you soon.